We're back, baby. We're so back. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy because we pulled this KvK from the grave. It was dead. It was going to be a free-for-all. There was way too much cumbersome situations where people were not changing their minds, and now we're back, and it's on. Like, let's get it on. This is going to be a massive KvK that is now back in play. It's going to be a left versus right. We're going to go through it all. We're going to talk a little bit about the Diplo and how it transpired. We're going to talk about the power of all the different camps. We're going to go through all the kingdoms and show you who's going to be in this KvK because it's going to be one of the biggest of the year, and it's going to be a ton of fun. So stick around while we get set up to go fight our freaking faces off. Hey everybody, I'm your boy War Daddy Chadsky. I do videos for Rise of Kingdoms all the time, and my previous video I had, I'll have a card at the top, this didn't look good. Like this KvK was ruined. But now, we're back. There's some interesting situations going on, and I'll help explain all of it. But this set up to be a great KvK. Now, first of all, for anybody that doesn't understand or doesn't realize kind of what happened here, we were in a situation to where 606 and 365, even though we're very close, both kingdoms are very close to 2359 and 3308, we did not get the S tag, the S tier tag, 606 and 365. They gave us the A tier tags, which means in the team up phase, which what they did in this KvK, we had to pick campmates. Okay, so they gave 2359 and 3308 the S tier tag, so they don't get campmates. And we looked at this and said, oh my God, they're going to mess this up. They are going to mess this up. So we got with 365. We got all the leaders talked, and it was best for 606. That's where my main is. I have my other main account here in 2359, but 606 and 365 decided we are not going to team up with anybody. We're going to leave our spots blank, and we're going to let Lilith pick our campmates for us and get us in this map. And they did. So Lilith did right. And in my previous video, I was telling everybody we can't blame Lilith if we're going to ruin this KvK. Well, from there, what had happened was that you got a Diplo chat going, right? And 3308 expressed, hey, top versus bottom, 3308 will ally 365 and their campmates. All good, pretty fair, no problem. Now, this is what's interesting about this KvK. I have never seen a 4-camp KvK at the Imperium level like this that's really even no matter which way you slice it. If you go top versus bottom, it's even. If you go left versus right, it's even. The main thing is you got to keep the S tier kingdom separate and the A tier kingdom camps separate because they're a little bit imbalanced, and I'll explain that in a little bit. So from there, it is really a fair KvK, no matter which way you slice it. So 3308 expressed, hey, top versus bottom. 2359 and 606 both came into Diplo with a pretty honest concept. We don't care which way it goes. It doesn't matter to us. Like, we just want to figure this out and go fight. 365 expressed that their preference is left versus right. They wanted to be allied with 2359. And after some short deliberations, and everybody has to understand something when it comes to Diplo, okay? All these kingdoms at the Imperium level, like, Diplo is a nuance. It's something new that you have to understand. 2359 is, trust me, I've been there, and they have grown it exceptionally well. Q and Pally and all the people over there doing all this stuff in leadership, they have grown the kingdom, and they have a lot of experienced players who understand the Imperium level. Okay, 3308, of course, had the biggest migration in any KV or any kingdom through this offseason, and Hope and Lion are there now. Velociraptor is cooking over there now. You got so much stuff going on in 3308, but they're relatively new to the Imperium design. And then you've got 365. 365 has been a part of Diplo and Imperium levels between Save and now Hades. They've been doing it for 5 or 6 years. Like, everybody knows their MO and what they do and how they do it, how they present things, and how they do their Diplo. Like, I literally told leaders of these kingdoms, like, here's what 365 is going to say. And they said exactly what they were going to say. And so from there, you have inexperienced people doing Diplo for the first time in an imp level, and you have super experienced people, and then you have some people that have some experience, and that's how Diplo shook out. Well, there was a massive disagreement, obviously. 3308, they were in a weird situation because last KvK, we fought them, and that's the interesting storyline to this KvK. We fought them, and they were not very happy with us because we took a 1v3. The way 606 was set up back then, at last KvK, we were bigger than we are now. 3308 was much smaller than they are now. Not much smaller, but they were definitely smaller. And there was no 2v2 that was going to be fair. So we took a 1v3. They did not like it. They were pretty upset about it. Okay, and so from there, they were okay. Their leadership was okay allying 606 or 365. However, their members, and I understand this, I get it, their members are still feeling a certain way about 606. And it was just not an easy sell for the leaders to go to their members and be like, hey, we're going to go ally 606. Even though last KvK, we hated them and we were upset with them. But that's how it played out initially, to where leadership said, hey, we're going to ally 365. That's our preference. That's what we have to do. And 365 said, nope, we're allying 2359, and that's our preference. That's what we're going to do. And really from there, it was just a standoff, to where so much so to where 3308 bowed out of the diplomacy, said, hey, we're just going to do an FFA, which really ruins everything. Now, at that time, you can either make a decision to do an FFA collectively as kingdoms, or you could stick to your alliances, and that's what 365 did. 365 put out a mail saying, hey, we're going to 2v1v1. So no matter what, they were staying with 2359, no matter what. And so from that standpoint, it's like, okay, now that things have calmed down, let's really understand this and really start the conversations, okay? And then the conversation started happening with 3308 and 606. I think the leaders there between Akina, and then you had people like Putin and Tyler and Hera down in 3308. Everybody kind of got on the same page. We understand the struggles. We were enemies last KvK. How do we get everybody excited to fight together this KvK? You got to go through those conversations, and it takes time. And so from there, you get all this stuff flushed out with 606 and 3308. And then just recently, just now, boom, this is what we're doing. We're going left versus right. You guys can keep your alliance over here, and we're going to ally over here. And I'm just telling you, 3308 with our camp in 606, it is, that's the beauty of this KvK. Left versus right, it's 50-50, y'all. I'm just telling you, it is 50-50. And so from there, that's how the diplomacy all played out. Okay, and now we have our KvK. Left versus right, let's go. It reminds me of that Family Guy episode where Stewie was like, huh? Enemies become friends, friends become enemies. Now, I'm in a precarious situation because I was helping this along with the conversations with 3308. I know Velociraptor over there. I know a lot of people over there, and we were able to figure it out. But my other account's at 2359. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go fight it? We'll talk about that in a few. But let's look at the stats that we have for this KvK. It's pretty simple. Now, on paper, this is what people have to understand and realize. 2359 in Fire Camp, okay? They're at 24 billion power. This is a top 300 data pull from all the kingdoms. This is not their king. This is not their alliance. This is just a top 300 data pull. They're at 24.1 billion, okay, with 3.6 trillion KP. I'm in that kingdom. I know it really well. They have phenomenal capabilities. And so when you look at them, you also look at 365. Obviously, 365, a lot of players, a lot of their top 300, 45.3 billion power, 3.6 billion kill points. And then you throw in 1482, okay? You throw in 3070, and you throw in 2930 or 2903. And overall, it's a 70 billion power camp with 4 trillion kill points. So it's a pretty massive camp. Even though there's not going to be that many players and fighters coming out of the 1482 and 3070 and 2903 kingdoms, they're small kingdoms. They're like B seeds, guys. Like how Lilith figured this out is beyond me, but they're going to have a specific role. Now, if you look on the right side, we'll start with 606 and their camp. It's the same type of situation. 74 billion power. Now, 606 is at 41.8 billion. 3313 is probably the strongest of the, what are we going to call this? The group of 6, if you will. The group of 6 kingdoms that are not Imperium level. but 3313 definitely has more power, and they are relatively low on kill points, but these are new kingdoms there, 2589 and 2785, for a total power of 74.1 billion and 3.7 trillion kill points. Okay, and then you come down here to the bottom and you got 3308. 36.9 billion power. Obviously, it's much more than fire, but guys got to remember 6 billion of that is wrapped up in 2 players in Hope and Lion. So that's a little bit skewed for 3308, 3.3 trillion kill points. So just trust me, guys, I'm telling you, there's nobody that can speak to this KvK better than I can. I have my main account in 606. I have my other main account in 2359. I've fought in KvKs multiple now with these kingdoms. I have fought against 3308, and through different ways in my old 254 days and my old Imperium days, I have fought 365. Now, 1365 is a totally different kingdom than it used to be with BLN and JST, and they were rolling three alliances. I mean, they were cooking. But now we're very well aware of 1365, and I can speak on behalf of this KvK that it didn't matter. You could go top versus bottom, fair, no problem. You can go left versus right, fair, no problem. Let's get it on. Let's go freaking fight our face off, and let's see who wins. And so now we've got the KvK. We're cooking with what we can do now in this KvK, and it's going to work out really well. Huge credit to all the people that got on board, and really 606 and 3308 coming together and figuring this out. With that being said, let's go look at these kingdoms, shall we? Where is this? We're going to go to 2359 first. This is where I could just log into my other account, but this is where my second account is. They've had one of the highest and best. Let me see. Are we in TCG? I can't remember. I think we are. They've had one of the best consistent migrations to grow their kingdom. Okay, Q has done a phenomenal job there. You guys recognize Stafford. He's been in my dopamine stream. He's one of my 300 guys, one of my buddies. I've known Stafford for years. And you also see in here players like Minnie. Okay, you also see in here players like Minnie and Mars and Queen, and you've got some of these old 2377 leaders. Okay, so that was huge. Last KvK, they were there and really helped out. Of course, Vince Camelot, you guys have seen him on some of my Best of the Best series stuff. He's got an insane account. You got Maverick, Enforcer. There's Pally. Pally does the R5 stuff with Q. You got Zuma. There's Bad Queen over here. You've got Corbin. You've got Purple Hawk. Silver Fox, she does a ton, an absolute ton. And they've got great people. Aluya, of course, I've played in other kingdoms with Aluya. I've known him. Too High, one of my guys. I actually talked Too High into running the Cav Arch set. He's going to go run it and crush it. And so we've got all these players that I know really well. Of course, Makote, the old 846 crew, is now over there. Kyrian is over there. You've got Pennywise, who's a newer player that's just crazy whale. That's doing crazy stuff. Bloom is there, and Giovanni and Mr. Nobody. Like, this is gonna be wild, y'all. There's Mars with his account. Multiverse is there. Token is there. Andre, my fellow Attila buddy, is there. And so these are my guys. Like, these are my people. I'm in this kingdom. I love these guys. These are my guys. And so these are some of the accounts you guys are going to see on the scoreboard. Diavolo showed up over here. Diavolo and I were in 2605 years ago. So you've got a really cool contingent of players that have now joined 2359. Passos, of course, was one of our 606 guys. He's over here now. Exciter is there. Mario is there. You've got a bunch of people here, and it's going to be fun. There's Chuck, my guy. He is there, and Greed is there, and then there's my guy Priest. He's there. CDAV is there. Like Gypsy, who you heard on the dopamine stream last week. Gypsy's my boy. He's one of my 300 guys. Love him. One of the best leadership garrisons in the game. And there's Skinsy. And Skinsy, of course, is another YouTuber. He does a lot with 2359. That's where his main is. Killer Kyle. You got all these guys. These are my guys. And so 2359, super formidable. This Rise of Chadsky guy, don't look at him. He's a pleb. He's absolutely awful. You don't want to deal with this dude because he's going to be a dead weight. And so we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do with that account. So from there, I'll come back to that. And in fact, I'll address that now. Like, listen, guys, fighting yourself, okay? I could go hire pilots and stuff to go play this account. It's not going to look really good. I don't want that. I haven't gone down the full-fledged piloting role. I've stayed away from that. I can't be fighting myself with the same name. So I'm trying to work with Lilith. I'm trying to work with the content creator program and say, okay, what can I do here? Can I pass this account off and not log into it? Do I need to sell this account through one trade? Do I need to just let it go dormant? Because I'm not going to fight myself. Now, it would have been great to be allied with 2359, and I could literally fight both accounts at the same time in two different zones if we were going to be allied. But obviously that changes now that we are going to be enemies, and obviously I've got to play my main. And so from there, we'll figure out what to do with that. We've got some ideas, so there'll be more information when that comes around. But we want to do it right, and we want to make sure we're adhering to all the stipulations that we've got to adhere to and work with Lilith on that. So with that being said, there's your 2359. These guys sitting anywhere between 19.5 and 20 billion power. Okay, massive gold Imperium, and really, really good. Let's go to their allies in 365. Of course, 365 has been around forever. I've fought these guys multiple times. I know all about them. Everybody does. Okay, and they're cooking pretty good. 19.5 billion. Okay, they're alliance leaders. You're going to have all these players up here. Still got some Korean contingent with 365. Save has still got an account there. Hades has got obviously the leadership going on here, and that's what they do. You see some of their high-end players. They got plenty of them. These guys, there's Wabi and Enzo. Wabi's going to have to figure that out because Wabi has two accounts with another account in 2359. So we're going to have to figure that stuff out as well. Wild Dread's over there. He's been there for a while. Zaka is there. And so who else do we know here? There's our old crew from 606, Gorilla. Gorilla and his crew really run OL and do it at a really high level. And they took about, I think, 8 players or 9 players from 606 over to 365. Okay, there's Samurai Guy. I have fought this guy so many times in KvK. My boy Street and Suki, these are all part of that Gorilla group from 606. I know them very, very well. They've done a really good job with recruitment since last KvK and 365. So a huge formidable opponent. There's Yellowstone. I was in 1254 with Yellowstone. Of course, you 1093 guys know he was there for a while. And so we have all these players and still a massive Korean contingent with JST and 365. And there's Bowser. That's how you can kind of figure that out. So it's going to be a lot of fun at the high end, a lot of big time players. Okay. When you see what these guys are able to do, and it will be great for the representation of 365, 19.5 billion power, and that's who we're cooking. Now let's go to 3308. Okay, now this is what's crazy. Okay, 3308 is going to have the biggest wow factor in this KvK because they recruited, and of course we all know Lion and Hope went there. That's why their power is so skewed. Without Lion and Hope, they would be sitting, 19.9 billion power, 19.8, just like everybody else. But you've got the guys cooking over here. There's Velo. Velociraptor he's got both accounts here. You've got Lion and Hope, and there's the Velociraptor second account. And I think this is this the account? Yeah. So this is the old Fluffy account. Okay. I know this account intimately. I have been in wars with this account. Fluffy and I were joined at the hip for the last 3 years. We have fought so many KvKs. We've been in the trenches. Of course, you guys know Fluffy was one of my best friends. He was the 2024 Fighter of the Year, and he recently retired. Velociraptor, Velo took over his account, and this thing is cracked. It's busted. I know everything about this account. I helped Fluffy build the account. And so with that being said, it's going to be a lot of fun. And then here's Velo, his main, and what he was actually put together as a new Kraken in the game. This dude is crushing it. So he's got his 2 accounts there. Okay. And you've got there's Hera, and Hera really helped out a lot with the Diplo on what we were doing. You've got obviously got Tyler over here as well, really helping out. And then you've got Putin and some of the others as well. So these are the guys I all fought last KvK. Last KvK, I had to fight these guys, and they are hard to fight. Goldfish Kim is over there. Euro Q8 over there. You got a whole lot of Baka. Baka is over there. Baka was a part of that group with the Gorilla group in 365, but Baka's over there now. You got all these people hanging out. You got old GT members. You got all kinds of people hanging out in 3308. Massive migration that they got in. They got heavy hitters. They've got all kinds of stuff to kind of show for this. It's going to be a great ally for us, and we're going to go cook this thing. We're going to get after it and go cook this thing when it comes to their members and who they are. And trust me, I fought all these guys, and it wasn't very much fun last KvK, but now they just added to it and gotten even bigger. Okay, you got GT Spartan over here. You've got Velo with a third account here. You got all these guys, okay, and they know how to cook. I'm just telling you. They know what they're doing, and they know how to cook. So that gives you an idea of the left versus right and how we're going to play this thing out. So now let's go look at my kingdom in 606, right? So we've gotten the two allies with 2359 and 1365 on the left and 3308 on the right. Now here's where we're at, okay? Got a few players that I think are out of the line, but almost 19 billion power. Okay, and when you look at this, Akina, of course, is the R5 here, and he's been running it here for a long time. You've got great leadership here. These are the crew that we've been playing with now. I've been playing with now for a while. And, of course, K9, you guys see him. He's one of my 300 members. Murph's in there. Quacks has got it going on. Agony, of course. Raven, she is there. Lau, you got Sack and Eileen with Trauma. Trauma is one of the guys we've been with for a long time. Me and Crix and Peace, we all were in 2605 with Trauma. And you got big accounts, of course. Itachi sitting up there. He's going to run it down. That's Itachi, guys. He was the 2025 Fighter of the Year. He's not going anywhere. You guys have seen me highlight his account many times on my channel. And New Migrants here with KO 112 and then Meta and Fahad. So we've got some big players that we brought in. Of course, you've got my main here. We're cooking. I'm going to try to rack up the KP as high as possible in this KvK. Seraphim is here. She came in last KvK and has a busted account. Dale is there. He's a crazy canyon monster. Cactus, of course. There's Peace sitting nice and thick at 189 million. There's Carr from his GT days. And look who's back. Maximus. You guys have seen Maximus, okay? He is the unquestionable, as you can see right here. He was in my best of the best series. He has the best pincer setup with a double inscription with smite. A double inscription with uplifting. And anybody that knows what uplifting is as a common inscription, he has got a crazy setup for his infantry. Of course, PTI here. Trinity, that's another one of Seraphim's accounts. Dark Lady is here. She is crazy in the field. She is really, really good. Of course, the other piece is here. They run it like crazy. Pistol Pete, you guys know him. One of my 300 members. The Good Doctor is here. And Snow Queen Fancy is obviously here as well. And we're going to go cook this thing. There's Leroy. I still got Insight, Genty. I got all these guys, but Leroy was with us. Leroy's been with me since KvK 1, guys. I started the game with him. I've literally been playing with him for 6 years. It's crazy. There's Mika, Nameless, Cheeky's here. Red Wolf, another one of my 300 members. Daver, of course, who you guys know is one of the smartest guys in the game. He helps us so much with our channel and our stats and all that. Siori is here. I was in 2605 with Siori. Love Siori and what he does. Obviously, Red Raven. You got a lot of these people that are here, a lot of players that we've been cooking with. Now, we did lose a few players, so we're not quite a full alliance, but trust me, we're going to be just fine when it comes to this. We've got good campmates here with us. As you see there's Hick. As you see all these guys that are really, really good players, and I've known these guys for a while now. You got more in the leadership. There's Jackie. Jackie I played with in 2 other kingdoms before. Okay, and then you got some farms in here with Riff and some of these guys holding some leadership spots, and that's kind of where we are. So that gives you an idea of 606. Very organized. And still has a ton of punching power, even though it's not quite to 155 members. So this is going to be really even. And it's going to be really interesting to see how this thing works and it develops. This thing out and how the numbers line out. But the biggest news is we got it. We're going to figure this thing out. We're going to get after it, and we're going to have a great time in this KvK. And so from there, we want to be able to show everybody like, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's what we're looking for. Now, here's the other beauty with this, okay? We're going to get pre-KvK training coming up, like literally troop training coming up Thursday or Tuesday through Thursday of next week. Well, guess what? It's just announced that Zenith will start on the 16th. So that'll be next week on Monday. So we're going to have troop training in KvK. For this KvK, we're going to have troop training in the pre-KvK during Zenith. So Zenith is going to go crazy. And troop training is going to go absolutely nuts. It's going to be wild. Pass 4 for Zone 5, and this is what people have to understand. I'll go ahead and put this map up here. It's just a little bit better. We're going to end up fighting 2359 in Zone 5, okay? 3308 is going to have to fight 365 and their campmates in Zone 5. Now, here's the key to this. It's going to be really hard for 2359, okay? Getting help from other kingdoms, and it doesn't matter what help that is. It could be just a dozen or two fighters with a whole bunch of farms and filling and building. It's just hard to take on any four kingdom situation. It's the same thing down here with 3308. They're going to have a real tough time with 365 in these three kingdoms in their camps. So Zone 5s are going to be wild, y'all. They're going to be wild, and they're going to be a ton. Pass 4 opens March 20th. That's on a Friday. Okay, so March 20th is when we're going to get these Zone 5s and get after it hard, and it's going to be awesome. And then the first altar will be March 30th. Pass 7 is going to be on April 9th, okay, and then Kingsland April 12th. So mark your calendars. This is going to get wild, and it's going to get crazy, and it's going to be a ton of fun. So that's how we're going to have to figure this thing out. It's left versus right. We're going to have a blast with it. Oh, I can't imagine Lost Canyon. Lost Canyon is going to be crazy. Me and Hope and Lion always go after it. We get after it in Lost Canyon all the time and hit each other all the time, and that's going to be – Putin and I were doing the same thing last KvK, and that'll be a lot of fun. So in my streams, you'll see me hitting Lost Canyon all the time because I'm a canyon junkie. Whatever. I ain't apologizing for it. So from there – finally able to get this KvK. Thank you to everybody for having cooler heads, figuring it out, and a really cool storyline for 606 and 3308 on the right side of this, for them to be enemies last KvK and really enemies that didn't like each other because of the way the Diplo worked out in the 1v3, but now able to come together and be friends and go fight together. That's what this game is all about, guys. That's what Imperium KvKs are all about. You are going to fight a Kingdom 1 KvK, and it might get toxic with your members, and then you're going to be allied with them in the next KvK. That happens all the time. And now that we're able to actually do it with 3308, we're happy to get the ally. Let's go fight. Let's go figure this out. I know Q and Pally and the guys in 2359, they're primed and ready to go. Man, they are fired up, ready to go. And then, of course, 365, they got their ally, and they're going to go fight, and they're going to go figure this thing out as well. So with that being said, we hope you guys enjoyed this video. Throw a like on here. Help us out a little bit. And now that we got our KvK back, now that we got Zenith coming up on the 16th, it's going to be a lot of fun. And you guys have a great day, broskies.